What's going on? A to Z Sports. It's a Titan pregame live. Sam Phelan and Easton Freeze here with you on a Sunday morning, about 30 minutes away from kickoff over in Jacksonville as the Tennessee Titans get set to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars in what, for all intents and purposes, is the toilet bowl of
Tank
the
Bowl.
NFL season here. 3-12 teams going at it, and yet somehow, Easton, maybe the most important game the Titans have played all season long for draft repercussions. So there's a lot of things going on. Most of the storylines that will be talked about this morning, and I'm sure after the game is all said and done as well, will have less to do with the actual football itself and more about the position that the organization is in moving forward. So a lot of things to talk about. Curious to see where the chat comes in on a few of our critical questions and topics before kickoff. So why don't you tell the folks what to do before we go ahead and get into it?
Sure, guys, you got to like the show for us this morning. Good morning to afternoon or whatever it is. Hello to all of you on this dreary NFL Sunday. A lot of nasty weather.
Hitting weather in
league.
Nashville. Yeah, like Nashville.
It's not just here, Sam. I don't know if you've seen. It's like half of the slate today is going to be lightning delayed and pouring rain. A gross, muddy day of football, but a glorious NFL Sunday nonetheless. And we need you guys to like the show if you're with us on Facebook, if you're with us on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up button for us right underneath our faces here on your screen. Like the show. It costs you nothing, and it's very helpful to us. You know the deal when it's Sam and I on the show. We get fired if we don't get to the minimum required likes. So like the show for our sake. If you like to see us around, please like the show. And jump in the comments today. We want to hear y'all's thoughts before we get into a sloppy Titans-Jaguars game.
All right, sloppy indeed. This show will be anything but. Welcome in officially to the Titan pregame show powered by X Golf Nashville and BetMGM. Going to give some love to our partners this morning before we get into all of it. They are X Golf Nashville and now in Murfreesboro as well, the home of indoor golf in Middle Tennessee. X Golf, play, train, and entertain. Go to playxgolf.com for more information. BetMGM, log in today to get your Pro Football Boost Pack to acquire more tokens for more winnings. BetMGM is an official partner of the Tennessee Titans. T-Dot, be part of the solution to end littering and make sure nobody trashes Tennessee by visiting nobodytrashestennessee.com and doing your part. Okay, Easton, I have called this game the most important game that the Titans have played all year, maybe even the most important game the Titans have played since they lost in the playoffs to the Cincinnati Bengals. Why? Well, because a loss in today's game, well, if you're assuming the Titans are not going to beat the Texans in Week 18, which I guess is not a guarantee by any means with the way the Texans are playing football recently, but this feels like the one game that you are in danger of winning. And if you are a Titans fan right now who is excited for the potential future, for the draft pick, for a potential quarterback at the top of the draft, a loss in today's game is paramount. A win today, and the Titans are very likely picking 6th or 7th in the 2025 NFL draft. The stakes are that severe one way or another. And so I think that regardless of what happens on the field will ultimately be what we're talking about when we look back on this game, afterwards and maybe years to come, depending on the outcome.
Absolutely. And I've got a lot of thoughts on this, but Sam, do we want to ask the question first and give some folks the chance to chime in?
Yeah, we're not gonna waste any time here today. This morning we're gonna jump right into it, and I'm going to ask all of you in the chat straight up, fair or foul, to be rooting for the Titans to lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's professional sports. This is a division rival. I know you all hate the Jaguars. I know that logo and the sight of that weird, ugly jerseys and that empty stadium down in Duval, it makes you cringe. But is it fair to root for a Titans loss today against their rival? Let us know in the chat.
Before people reel off all the fairs, just you need to understand you are rooting for the Tennessee Titans to be swept, not just by the Jaguars, but by the Mac Jones Jaguars. A crime punishable by relegation, death, I don't know. So just keep that in mind while you guys are chiming in the comments there. But Sam, I said it on the Friday show. I think it's more likely that the Titans win out than they lose out. I think that both of these games are eminently winnable. I think that this game in particular is extremely winnable. I think that I was old enough to watch this the first time 3 weeks ago when all the Titans had to do was get to double-digit points and cash in on either of the touchdown opportunities they had, or just kick field goals every time they were in range. Also a thing that would have won them the game. They had to do backflips to lose that game. And I think they'll have to do backflips again today to lose that game. Now, the good news is the Titans, this version of the Titans, perfectly capable of doing backflips, but I'm scared they won't. And I think that there's a chance they win this game. I think there's a chance they win this game really handily, and it's going to hurt a lot of people. And I hope I've never wanted to be wrong more in my life. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that they manage to find new, inventive, stupid ways to lose to the Mac Jones Jaguars. But it's going to take chaos. Like, they're not going to have a clean game in which they lose. Like, it's gonna take some. I really do think it's gonna take some ugly mistakes from them, which again they're capable of making. But and in the rain, that helps as well, I suppose, for both teams playing a sloppy game.
Well, I do think, there is a difference, and like we'll get into our X factors a little bit later on, but I do think there is a difference between this version of the Titans and the one that lost to the Jaguars the first time around.
This is fair.
Where they had to do backflips, right? Like, there's no Tony Pollard for the Titans today. The inside linebacker position is much weaker for the Titans. The defense is far more banged up.
No more Monty Hooker.
Between Will Levis and Mason Rudolph. Is that a good thing or a bad thing for the Titans on offense? Pick your poison, I guess, on which version of Will Levis and Mason Rudolph you get. I think overall, across the entire season, they've been about even, but there have definitely been games in which Mason Rudolph gives the Titans a better chance to win than Levis does, and like you said, no Amani Hooker either. So there's a lot of different elements to this team that make the Titans worse. But yeah, this Jaguars team is horrible, and it's Mac Jones quarterback,
man.
And
it's so bad.
It's really going to be I have far less expectations than you, I guess. Like, I don't know if I'm like, I have no idea for who should win this game or who.
Okay.
I would be I wouldn't be surprised if the Titans lost this game by 20 points. Like,
I would, but I would like it. I would like that to happen. Yeah.
I have no sort of barometer. So I guess then we are both on the same page. And I have not seen a single person in the chat say foul. The closest I've seen to foul is Orlando saying, I don't know about rooting for a loss, but he's not mad if they lose. I mean, it's totally fair. I'm rooting for a loss. You're rooting for a loss. I think
that brings up my question, because the way that I wanted to frame the question today, and we'll just kind of present this as a secondary question. You guys can chime in the chat. Is there an outcome today that makes you happy as a fan of this team? That
what does it
you
look
satisfied?
Like,
right? What does that look like? The reason why all weekend I've been dreading this part of my job today is because I could feel the lose coming. I could feel the outrage and the pitchforks and the torches coming, knocking on the door, no matter what. If they win, they hurt their tank. If they lose, you get swept by the Mac Jones Jaguars. If you lose ugly, that's just magnified. What does this game look like where you walk away feeling pleased? Is it just that they, thread the needle of losing 21-20? The Jaguars just make one more play. Like, what does it look like for you guys to be happy with this result? Because I think you can easily, if you're a fan just looking to be mad, which Titans fans right now understandably are, there's going to, no matter what, be something for you to be mad about after this game. I'm somebody I've said on this show, whenever Austin Stanley gets real caught up in the moment with the Titans, I've told him, hey, you need to choose joy on this Sunday. Do not let this football team ruin your vibe, harsh your vibe today. Choose joy. I want to choose joy no matter what. I obviously am hoping that they manage to lose somehow, but I think a big win can be simultaneously detrimental to the future of this team, and also an important thing for the current regime. So we'll talk about that, and people won't want to hear it at the end of the game, so we won't spend much time on it. But I mean, listen, there's a reason why the players and coaches are playing to win the game today, because they really would like to do that. Like, they're not doing it begrudgingly. Brian Callahan, in his heart of hearts, wants to win this game. He wants to kill the Jacksonville Jaguars. And so we'll see if they do.
Yeah, I mean, it's the lose is kind of the right wording there of like what this really is for the Titans, because the unfortunate thing, I think, is like the way that the news cycle has sort of developed over the last week or so leading up to this game as well. With information coming out about the future of Brian Callahan and Now it's pointing to the fact that Brian Callahan will be back as the Titans head coach in 2025. Not something that you or I have an issue with at all. I don't
We're all
think
that surprised by.
yeah, well, I don't think as a whole the fan base is surprised by it. I don't
No.
think the fan base has a huge issue with it as a whole. Like there will be Titans fans out there who want Brian Callahan fired, who are upset at this season. Fair enough, right?
Sure.
Record's bad, but I don't think at large this group is saying you need to fire the head coach.
It's not a majority opinion. I'm with you on that.
The fact that you are now viewing Brian Callahan as your head coach next year does make this game a little bit weird because, a win is good for Brian Callahan as a head coach of a football team and good for the Titans heading into next year. But it is objectively horrific for the future of this organization and their positioning and could substantially it could just be catastrophic in so many ways. A loss, while it helps the tank, it puts you in that position to get that draft pick that you might want. When you're already building up Brian Callahan as your head coach in 2025, if the Titans come out and get blown out by the Jaguars, it's just going to sour everybody in the fan base even more on Callahan and being like, I don't know if this guy can do it. We just lost to the Jaguars. We just got swept by Mac Jones Jaguars. We lost by 20 points. So that's why it kind of brings up this question of what exactly does it look like? And for me, Easton, the answer is it has to be a loss. For me to be happy, they have to lose, number one. And it has to be a loss that I blame on the defense. If I can sit here and look at because I look at this defense as being incomplete. No Amani Hooker. There are Luke Gifford is wearing the green dot, and that might change. They're playing musical helmets on the defensive side of the football, just rotating around who's wearing the green dot.
Right.
This is such an incomplete group. We know that you need help at edge rusher. We know that your defense has all of these holes right now, and their defense has been getting worse and worse and worse kind of as the year has gone on, especially against the run.
Yep.
So I would like for the Titans to lose this game, have it be another day where you're like, they couldn't stop Tank Bigsby on the ground. He had 150 rushing yards and you lost because of it. But Brian Callahan's offense still shows a couple of good positive flashes. Calvin Ridley has some success. The scheme overall is working. It's just not enough to pull out the win. I think that would put me in a spot where I don't blame the game on Brian Callahan as a whole. But it also doesn't ruin your positioning for the draft. That's the happy medium.
That's fair. I get that. I do think there's actually in this game in particular a path for the offense to be the one we're blaming, and we're still not that discouraged. And the reason why has to do with who's out and the weather, right? If this is a game where it's they couldn't pass because it was a torrential downpour all game long, and they couldn't run effectively because Tony Pollard's not in there. You're running with Tajay Spears between the tackles, which he's not particularly great at. And you've got 3 backup offensive linemen of the 5 up there today.
Yeah, that's fair too.
So it's I think there's a way where we're what were they supposed to do? Right.
Yeah, you're running Corey Levin, Daniel Brunskill at center right guard, and I believe we're getting Jalen Duncan at right tackle.
Duncan's first real attempt at tackle this year. Yeah. Hopefully he makes it longer than one series this time. So I think there's a way where we can be of course the offense didn't work today. Look at
Mason Rudolph at quarterback. And we've not been shy about this either. The fact that the Titans don't have great weapons. Calvin Ridley is pretty good. Nick Westbrook-Akine is good for what he is. Tyler Boyd is not very good at this stage in his career. Mm-hmm. The rest of those receivers don't do anything for anybody. Chiga Okonkwo, 17 catches or whatever in the last 2 games, but it's all products of being behind in zone shell coverages and check downs to the tight end. The weapons are not overwhelming. And so now you have Mason Rudolph at quarterback with average at best weapons, no run game, and 3 backup offensive linemen. There is definitely a world where the Titans offense looks rough because of it. So we just blamed both sides of the ball, which
all of that being said, I still think they win the game. I think they look decent.
We just blamed the offense and talked about all the reasons why the offense sucks. I pointed out all the reasons why this defense sucks. And therefore, they could still very easily lose this game by 20 points or win the football game somehow.
Well, you know who else sucks? The offense and the defense of the other team. So that's the rub here is that it is bad on bad. The one thing I'll say to put this on record and then we can move on. You talked about how clearly your opinion is that it would be just violently catastrophic to the future of this franchise if they win this game. I don't agree with that entirely, just because of what I think. Like, I think that there's a better than not chance the Titans could lose out and still have the third pick. And if Shedeur Sanders goes before them, I don't care anymore. I don't care at all. Like, I've made this clear. I think this is a one quarterback class. He's the only guy I care about. You either get him or you don't touch anybody if you're the Titans, in my opinion. So while I think that it would be detrimental to their chances to get him if they win this game, no doubt about it, I still think it's an uphill battle for them to be in range to get him, even if they lose out. They still need a lot of help.
It's interesting. Definitely a bigger topic than we have time for on the pregame show.
Right.
You are correct in the
sense getting it on record.
I mean, if you're picking number 3, you're not guaranteed Shedeur Sanders by any means.
You have a chance for him.
You do have a chance at him at number 3, which is what you would be at if you lose out and don't.
The problem is if you're at 3, you're picking. You get the second pick of the quarterback because the Giants are picking one before you.
Correct. So you are then hoping that the Giants go with Cam Ward, and you could be in position to get Travis Hunter.
And that matters for sure. Yeah.
That's not, like that's what the chat is saying. Travis Hunter, T Hunter 12. Like, that is not out of the question for the Titans if they lose this football game to go and get Travis Hunter. But the question, I guess, that will exist in the offseason, obviously, for Ran Carthon, if it is Ran Carthon or whoever it is that's making these picks, is, let's say it is a one quarterback. Let's say that it's Shedeur's up here for them and Cam Ward is below him significantly. How much is the pressure to draft a quarterback impacting your decision at number 3 overall versus your actual analysis of said quarterback? There's a whole thing that goes into it. Like, how much do the Titans need to draft a rookie quarterback to preserve their own jobs? That is a thing that happens in the NFL all the time.
Oh, I think that they're actually again, a bigger topic, but something that I laid out on the Friday show with Austin that maybe people want to go back and listen to. Or actually, I laid this out with Zach Lyons on Football and Other F Words on Thursday night on 104.5. I actually think if the Titans brass was purely in the business of keeping their jobs, the self-preservation route is avoiding the draft like the plague, even if the quarterbacks are ending up good.
I disagree.
I think that they are more likely to keep their jobs if they go the free agent retread route than if they draft somebody. And I think history backs that up, which might be an interesting article coming in the next week or two at AtoZSports.com.
I disagree, but that would be maybe it's a morning show for next week.
We're just planning the whole week's worth of shows on the
depending on the result of today's game. That could be a show that makes a lot of sense for you and I to hash out next week. Anyways, Easton, let's move it on real quick because despite listen, you're watching this game at home. Mm-hmm. You're not all that interested. You're hoping for a Titans loss, you guess, but don't really know what to root for. Let Easton provide you with some things to root for because nothing.
We need some juice, baby.
Like having some skin in the game.
Right.
Let me tell you all, about our friends and partners here at BetMGM. BetMGM is an official partner of the Tennessee Titans. Use the code ATOZSports to get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas and an official partner of the Tennessee Titans. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older, Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. First online real money wager only. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789. Easton, you've got bets for me. I didn't even bother with a bet this morning for Titans Jags, but I knew I could rely on you to be irresponsible and have a list of about 10 of them for the people who have 10 minutes to get these in before kickoff. What do you have?
Yeah, this is just a disclaimer at the top. This is financial irresponsibility. This is usually I am a responsible bettor. This today is me finding a way to make myself enjoy what I have to do today.
Find a way to care about this football game.
100% right. So right off the top, Sam, you shouldn't even have to say it, but in case people are new around here, what do we have on our auto pay weekly here at the Titans Bet Center?
Nick Westbrook-Ikine, anytime touchdown.
That's right. We cashed again
last week. We need number 10.
We need number 10. I mean, the Titans account on Twitter was tweeting about it. Inside job, NWI, they're going to get him the touchdown. Don't worry about it. Put that on an anytime touchdown auto pay. Now, two other bets. One is a long plus 1,000 odds parlay, which I gave out last week. Cashed. Second one of those I've given out of the year. That's plus 1,000. Very hard to do. Might go 3 for 3 today. Going to try to go 3 for 3. So that parlay looks like this. Just a simple, and I know the weather is ugly, and that might be what screws us here, but we're going to go with just a simple, sloppy, empty calories, garbage yards game for some of these key players. Some guys that we've seen
Love this.
in recent weeks have some big games. At least it provide us a little bit of entertainment. So I've got Chigakonkwo over 40 yards, Calvin Ridley over 60 yards, Tajay Spears over 50 rushing and receiving combined, Tank Bigsby over 40 rushing, and Brian Thomas over 50 receiving. That's going to give you around plus 1,000 odds. I also, on my personal one of these parlays, threw in a Tajay Spears anytime touchdown because he's had, 5 in the last 2 games, I believe, 4 in the last 2 games. With no Tony Pollard today, I think that he will get into the end zone. Speaking of touchdowns, we cannot forget, Sam, that this is a revenge spot for one Calvin Ridley. He talked this week in the locker room about how he had some former teammates talking some big smack, talking the yah last time they faced off 3 weeks ago, and he's looking to get back at them a little bit, have a big game. The opportunities last time were there for him. They just were not capitalized on by his quarterback. Maybe this time they are. And so we're going to do another Calvin Ridley escalator. I love Calvin anytime touchdown. We saw last time they played, the Titans coaching staff borderline irresponsibly tried to get him into the end zone. I wouldn't put it past them to try to do it again today. There's also incentives to worry about, by the way. Him getting more touchdowns and yards is very paramount to his paycheck. And then we're going to do the escalator with his yards, right? His over-under, last I checked, was around 65. Take the over there with one full unit. And then the way the escalators work are very simple. You just go up and you divide by your unit. So 1 unit on the main line. If you hit that, you don't lose any money. That's the key. You just got to get to 65. And then the next step is 80, 100, 120 yards. Go half unit, quarter unit, tenth of a unit, all the way up, so that if he has a monster day, which I think he's capable of having, you're going to exponentially increase your profits today. So we've got the NWA anytime touchdown. We've got the Calvin Ridley yards escalator, including his anytime touchdown. And then we've got the plus 1,000 parlay, which one more time for you here. That's Chig over 40, Calvin Ridley over 60, Tajay Spears over 50, rushing and receiving. Don't forget to combine those. Tank Bigsby over 40 rushing, and Brian Thomas Jr. over 50 receiving. Those are our bets today. We went 6 for 6 last week and made all kinds of money. Let's see if we can do it again today.
The ones that stood out to me that you were bringing up that I kind of really enjoyed that I'm just now looking at. I like the idea of getting involved with a Tajay Spears over rushing and receiving combined type of deal. So he's
Right.
at 88.5, and I think I'm going to get involved in that as well. So that's the one that stood out to me. I also would just go 100 yards and a touchdown for Brian Thomas. I feel like we're going to get I don't know what that looks like or if I'll actually bet it, but I think this is smelling like a massive Brian Thomas game.
Sure.
Because he just seems to own the Tennessee Titans a little bit.
Good player.
All right. Let's move on real quick. Let's get to our X factor. If we're looking at a Titans win, why are the Titans winning this game? And our X factors are, of course, brought to you by our friends at X Golf. Play, train, entertain. X Golf has reinvented the player experience by creating the most accurate indoor golf simulators on the market today, giving every person the power to take on the world's top courses, compete in a variety of game formats, improve their swing with lessons and superior analytics, all while being totally entertained. It's a sports bar. You can watch NFL games. The NFL playoffs are coming up. You can be indoors during the winter playing golf, improving your game while drinking a beer and watching the NFL playoffs. Doesn't get better than that. Go to X Golf in Nashville and now in Murfreesboro as well, the home of indoor golf, and visit playxgolf.com. Easton, if the Titans win this football game against the Jaguars this afternoon, why? What is the X factor?
I've got kind of a kitschy one for us today, and once again, it has to do with the weather. I want to see a little scheme versatility from Brian Callahan and company today. I know watching the Bengals during his time there, this was a team that was not afraid of the elements, an offense that was not stopped by the elements, cold, rain, wind, whatever it is. They found a way to implement a game plan that was going to move the ball regardless. And I know that he's working with if that was a Craftsman tool set, this is the plastic version that my baby plays with on our kitchen floor. But that's still something that they can do, at least demonstrating it on tape. Hey, we can find a way to get yards to our key players, even through these conditions, even without some of our key weapons in the game on the offensive line. So show me a game plan that works in these kinds of conditions. That's what I want to see today.
Yeah, for me, I'm looking at really just running the ball, without Tony Pollard in there. We know how big Tony Pollard has been for this Titans offense at having their better offensive days, especially with Mason Rudolph and at quarterback. Tony Pollard has been such a staple of the Titans offense. I look both sides of the ball, honestly. The Titans defense collapsed against the Colts because they couldn't stop the run. Linebacker position is getting even more banged up as we go throughout the
safety
here. I mean, we are... Yeah, no Amani Hooker. We brought it up earlier. It's like Luke Gifford and probably Cedric Gray starting at inside linebacker.
And Worley back there. Yeah, the spine of this defense is a nightmare.
Yeah, so can the Titans stop the run? That's a big question. It's not something the Jaguars do particularly well. They did a good job bottling up the run the first time they played Jacksonville, and the defense had a very good day as a result of it. But can they do it again today? That is my biggest X factor for this game. All right, let's wrap it up here. Prediction time. Before we got a couple minutes here before kickoff. So in the chat, everybody like the show. Easton and I might not be here for the halftime show. If you don't like it, we're going to get fired. And then prediction time. What is the final score? Titans are a 1-point favorite. Easton, I'll throw it to you first.
I'm going to try to reverse jinx the heck out of this game. I'm going to go big. I think Titans win 30-14.
Okay, I love it.
30-14.
I'm on board. You know what? I'm going to say it's a what was the score of that Ravens game?
30-2.
I'll go 30-2. 31-2. Titans win 31-2.
Big win for the Titans today. Go Titans.
Yeah, Titans roll the Jaguars.
That's right.
We are doing a full reverse jinx here. Julius has the Jags winning 21-17. Orlando 33-30 Jags. I'm on board with that.
Holy, give us the fireworks.
That was my winning scenario. That the
defense
just sucks, but the Titans score 30 points somehow.
Sure.
Jags 31-14 from Mike. 21-17 Jags. 21-10 Jags. 9-3 Jags in the 0 touchdown game.
That's what I'm terrified of.
Boo.
This too from
Jonathan.
Shane. 6-3 Titans win. That's the nightmare scenario.
Yeah, we got 24-17 Jags, 24-17. Titans win 17-14. No, guys, it's going to be 31-2 Titans.
That's right. Huge Titans win.
Was that actually the final score? I literally have to make
it was 30-something to 2 was the final score.
Let me double check it real quick. Christmas Day,
31-2.
Yeah, 31-2.
All right.
That's my prediction. So we will be back for a halftime update. Once halftime strikes, Easton and I will be breaking down everything from the first half of action.
No weather delays.
Just
get this over with.
Crossing our fingers that the Titans can, come out with a result that makes the most amount of people happy, whatever that result is. But
yes,
maybe a loss. I don't know. All right. Good luck, everybody. We'll be back at halftime. So don't forget to come and join us then. But till then, tighten up. We'll see you later.